This is our work session for Ware County Board of Commissioners, Monday, December the 13th. And if you would, I've asked Mr. Leonard if he would to lead us with prayer before we start the meeting.
Here's prayer. Father, we thank you, O God, for this day, Lord. We ask that you will bless us, O God, as we deliberate the business of this county. We pray, God, you will bless the inhabitants of the Ware County and Waycross. We pray, God, you will just continue to bless each and every one of us, O God. And we thank you, O God, for this time of the year that we set aside as Christmas. And thank you, O God, for Christ coming into the world and dying for our sins, that we might have a right to the tree of life. Father, we ask that you will just bless us, give us the right decision to make today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Let's pledge allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. We have some guest speakers today. Is Ms. Carter here?
Yes, sir.
Would you please come to the podium, please?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl Tina Carter. I live here in Waycross, Georgia, but I live on the north side of town where it's Lindsay Street, Buchanan, Fluker, Thomas, and Abner. I believe that's District 3, if I'm not mistaken. And my concern, Mr. Chairman, is a lot of streetlights are out over there, or none are up. And it's a dark area. It's prone for drug activity, just illegal activity. And it's just getting, a lot out of hand. And there's like the size of the road where all the grass and stuff grows up. It's not being cut all the time, and the ditches are not being cleaned. And that's why I put a note in to come and talk to someone about these things, because for years I've had concerns, and I want to just bring them to the forefront. See if we can do something about that. I did reach out to Public Works. They come out and they cleared out the ditches behind the house and all the things like that. But after they had found, someone that had passed, but they were throwing the bushes back there. And after that, they come out and they cut and they, did some things. And I have seen where they put up a four-way stop in that area too. But I was wanting to know, is there anything we can do about some street lights being put up in that area?
Okay. Is these streets all in the county?
Yes, sir, they are.
No.
Fluker Street, I'm not sure, because once you cross over, you step into the county. So I'm not sure about Fluker Street, but I did do some research and I think it is.
Okay.
Chairman.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Ms. Carter, for coming and bringing this situation to our attention. And I believe Fluker Street, it is in the county, because I've addressed a couple of issues like that about people dumping furniture and stuff like that, and talked with the manager, and I think they came out to clean it up. And it's unfortunate, but that's pretty much something that's prevalent all over in the city and the county, where people can find a spot and they go and just dump stuff out. And then the county, the city has to pick it up. But as far as the street lighting and all, I don't know if that's in District 1, but even if it's not, if it's in the county and it's a concern that you have, then I think that's something maybe we can look at, the feasibility of trying to see about street lighting. And but I'm familiar with that area out there, and I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening to my concerns. Because, Thomas Street is like, it needs some street lights. I know a lot of us, a lot of y'all are familiar with Thomas Street, where a lot of the drug rehab people stay and, get help, which I'm not knocking that at all, but it's a crime activity area that needs to be some lighting. I'm not saying all crime will stop, no, not saying that, but it probably will limit some of the crime that's going on in that area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Carter. Mr. Larry Harper, is he here?
I know he had an issue with resetting the pin, and I believe we were able to get a surveyor out there to set that pin, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if,
It's been taken care of? Somebody
yes,
told
sir.
me, I
As
thought-
far as I
they
know,
thought
it
it'd
has.
been
It was
taken
done
care
last
of.
week.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right. That's all I know.
Mr. Manager, Chairman, back to Mr. Carter and Scott, what kind of, I guess, policy do we have as far as when people are doing this illegal dumping? I know it's hard to really catch someone doing it, but I know in the past, the city have, had issue with this, and sometimes they go through it and they can kind of find out, who's been dumping or whatever, And,
We have in the past, and I know Mr. Schubert's done quite a bit of that since I've been here, that typically if there's any household trash there, you have to comb through it and see if you can find any ones with mail postage and those kind of things.
Right.
And then they can track it down from there. But what we're finding a lot of times is they leave the household trash out, but they'll dump furniture and things of that nature. So it's very hard to find out, where it came from, unless somebody knows. Or if it's typically a place where everybody dumps, then there's ways of trying to find out who's using it for a dump site.
About those lights, is there any street lights there, or were there any there?
Back when I
Yeah,
first
in the
moved
mirror.
there in '97, it was a street light there, but for some reason, it's gone. But what I did, I got in touch with Georgia Power, and I brought 3 of my own, but they're mine. I paid for those, and that's why they're there. But I have 2 in my yard, and one sits right on the corner of Charles, facing Fluker and Thomas. To light up that area, they keep them from going in there. So, I've been paying for those.
Okay, but you say the one with Georgia Power, you say it was one there, but it's gone. In other words, is the light
Yes.
gone or the pole gone, or what is it?
The pole's still there. They came out and put the light up, but they charged me for it. But they said that in the past, the county decided to take them down because of the money situation or whatever that was. And they decided they would, certain areas, they would pay for lights and they would pay for lights. It was according to the budget, from what I was told. I spoke to Mr. Moy,
Yeah.
Moy?
Yeah.
yes.
I think
And that's, I
distinguished
was,
gentleman right
well,
there.
that's exact, during the recession, I don't know, some of the older staff can tell you that when times hit hard, the county turned off a lot of the
Right,
street
yeah.
lights. And, now, the policy was that from that standpoint, that we typically do not light neighborhoods and those kind of things. Only private security lights like Ms. Carter was talking about that's being used now. We do light, real busy intersections, and, other than that, we don't. That's the way the policy is now.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, that's what I was wondering about the figure. Already one there, and it was just not working or something. We could
Right.
look into it.
It was there, but the county decided they were not gonna fund it anymore. You understand what I'm saying? They did, like Mr. Moore, you're Mr. Moore?
Yes, sir.
I'm
Yes,
sorry,
ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, when I talked with Mr. Moore on the phone, that's what he, informed me about, is that they decided not to, something they wasn't gonna have anymore. But those areas are very dark, and some of you all just ride through those areas at night, you can see and understand my concern.
Okay.
I go to work at a certain time, I'm not gonna say what time I go, but I go and it's really, really dark. And out of nowhere, somebody comes, they wear the mask now, out of nowhere, he's dressed in all black, and I'm like, wow. But if it was lighting out there, maybe, you could see something, which I do have cameras, I do have cameras, but it's not gonna stop anybody from doing
Right.
anything.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Carter.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want to chew on that? Got anything on for her? Couple of- All right. Thank you for letting us know about it. Okay, we'll go on to the agenda items. On the resolution of 2021-17 support reform to the Georgia's annexation dispute resolution law. Okay. ACCG is asking to please consider adopting the attached resolution supporting changes to the Georgia's annexation law, particularly in arbitration dispute resolution process. Scott, you tell us.
Yes, sir. If I may, I'd like the county attorney to speak to this. I had it sent to me by ACCG and then asked the county attorney if we should have this on there, and they recommended that we do. So I'll ask.
Mr. Chairman, I mean, there's some more information in your packet, but just a brief overview is that they've had a study committee that has been working on Georgia's annexation arbitration process, and so they have made some recommendations as to changes to that. ACCG was very involved in that study committee and suggesting revisions and what they believed would be best, and so now they have presented this resolution to the counties, requesting the counties approve it to support those changes being made. And our office has reviewed it, and, we don't have objection to the approval if it is the desire of the commission to do so.
Some of that's the more populated areas in the hill, I think, in
Right.
around the bigger
It
cities.
certainly is specific to each city and county, but annexation is a very hot button topic in many cities and counties as the cities, population continues to grow and, they may not inch out in a nice circular shape.
Right.
I saw one the other day that specific to, I'm sure you all are familiar with Effingham County and the way that they've grown to Savannah. And so, their cities kind of go down a corridor. And that's just one small example, but there's a lot of different ones. And so this is intended to help with those type situations, I believe.
Kind of islands being created in the center or something. Is that
Different
basically?
things of that type, but this is really mostly about the arbitration process, but yes.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
So that if we adopt this, it just tells ACCG and the legislature that we support the change in the annexation law.
That's correct.
Let's they put on the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, let's go on to the next, the B proposal toward garbage collection and disposal service.
Yeah, to give you some background for folks who are here, we advertise for garbage collection and disposal service, where our contract runs out at the end of this month with Republic. And after the advertising, we received only one proposal from Republic Services. I've included in your notebook there. Someone with Republic was supposed to be here. I'm not sure. Oh, okay, there he is. I'm sorry, I couldn't see you. But if we may, can we get him to
Yeah,
speak to
come
the
up.
proposal? And if he's here to do that, I don't know if Misty is or not, but, okay,
Not here, he was.
okay,
Couldn't make it, but,
Okay.
pretty much, it runs out at the end of this month,
Mm-hmm.
and then we did bid on it, and, that's pretty much it. It's just, that's what's in
Yeah.
the bid proposal there, and, I know he's supposed to have all that paperwork ready by tomorrow.
Okay.
So he would have to- if you have any questions, I can-
Okay, all right, thank you. Carry it over. All right, we'll carry it over to the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'm pretty sure I read it in there somewhere, but I can't recall. How long is this contract for?
5 years.
5 years.
Okay, 5 years.
5 years.
Yes, sir.
How long has it been since we had an increase?
19, I think.
19.
It was either 18 or 19 as far as a rate increase.
So this rate that they're proposing, is it to run concurrent with the 5-year contract?
Well, with that, they can ask for a CPI increase each and every year. I believe that's either January or February. I can't remember what date it was, or what month. But typically, that's how it goes. And they'll send a letter asking for a rate increase, and they'll, quote CPI, the Consumer's Price Index, and typically it's around 2 to 3%, and it has been in the past. So usually it's around like a quarter. That's, I think, the last one that was ever done 3-4 years ago was like 25 cents an increase.
So this price increase that they've got here, does that fall into your index?
No, sir, that's actually a new price altogether. As the summary stated, the price now per month, per household is $13.46, and they're quoting $16.99 a month. That's about a $3.53 increase per month.
What's been the average increase in the past?
About 3%. Oh, as far as this is concerned, that I do not know. This is a whole new.
This increase is not out of line with what they would normally get per year, is it?
It is. It's if it was 13.46 and they asked for 3%, then you're looking at something just a few cents on top of that. But this is
catches up.
Yeah.
From
This
the past, right?
correct. Yeah, it's actually a higher cost based on the cost now of diesel and those kind of things. But and that's what I was told.
Right.
But when we advertise, the proposal would have to go through their higher up, so to speak, for them to review it, and then that's why they come back and had to bid it at this price, only because of the increases in cost.
Well, the request for proposals was advertised extensively, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And how long has the Republic been doing the garbage collection
For the county, oh gosh,
About 20 years, ain't it?
They started when I first started on the commission 25 years ago,
about 25 years. I was going to say, I think it was around 95, 96, somewhere in there. Yeah.
when the landfill situation popped up.
What is other counties charging?
That I don't know. It's all based on different things. It's based on the number of customers, the routes and those sort of things. There's a lot of variables that go into pricing it.
Is the public gonna know about this now, or just all of a sudden they're gonna get an increase?
Well, they'll
in
have to
$3.50?
send a notice out, and that was one of the things I was going to make sure that Mr. Rob Carter knows, that I would ask him to have those notices sent out for folks to know.
Okay. Anything else? Got anything else on that? Okay, we'll get that one over to the meeting.
So we're gonna put on the agenda.
Put it on the agenda. Okay, let's go to C, road opening. Lejeune Road and Alton Circle. We got anybody here on that? Yeah.
I can, if you want me to, I can speak to it to kind of give you a background. This was already item that was on a previous meeting, and the motion was to accept the road based on or contingent upon having a signed deed from legal owner and having the core samples done. We've got those, everything's checked out. The only other thing is the cul-de-sac being constructed. And after talking with Mr. Sasser, he was saying that based on where this would need to go was a wetland issue, and didn't know if they would be able to get that permitted. And after speaking with Mr. Schubert about the situation, our land development code mandates that a cul-de-sac be constructed at the time when it's accepted. So that's an issue that's going to have to be resolved, and basically at the discretion of the commission. But I asked Mr. McCloskey and Mr. Sasser to be here if they could speak to it and discuss it with the commission.
Okay. Is there gonna be some way they can turn around down there? If we, that's gonna be I know if we do, cause the subdivision law says we gotta have a cul-de-sac, you know, and, that's something I think, a way to turn around on that dead end. Is that gonna be any problem, or when y'all tell us what we can do on it?
Yeah, I don't know if we can, because, we'll show you some aerials that show that it's wetlands. So I think you're just there. I know I live on Wood Valley Road off Central Avenue, and we don't have a turn around there. And I think Chip checked, I don't know, probably some of the roads in Waycross or Ware County, all of them in Ware County, and there's probably, just on a quick look, there's probably 25 or 30 that don't have it. So it's a real common thing. There's hardly any traffic down there. You could pull to the end and then just back up, which is what people are doing now. So you're doing the same thing that people have done since that was started, which was, I guess, 15, 20 years ago. So it's not changing anything at all, but I'm almost positive they're not going to give us, to build on wetlands down there. So they think it's the only option you have. There's not enough houses down there that you have any traffic, so everybody's been turning around for 15 or 20 years, so it's not going to change anything.
Okay. All right. Chip?
I went down to the end of Alton and took some pictures. And in the first meeting, we had a packet that had the wetlands that showed.
Right.
Showed the wetlands at the end of Alton. The pile of dirt is right at the end of Alton, and then right immediately back of the pile is this. And in your first packet, we had the wetlands delineated. There's not room enough to put a cul-de-sac without going through the Corps of Engineers. Now, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's highly impractical.
Yeah.
I know when we developed where Cracker Barrel is, we were doing a shopping center, and we paid $50,000 in consulting fees to try to mitigate those wetlands, and we eventually did. So for that,
How wide is that right of way there that you going? You asking, is that a 60-foot right of way?
yeah, I'm not sure, but the other thing Mike was talking about, man,
The road there, is that
this
a,
is in our neighborhood. This is the other streets that join us in that neighborhood that are already one way for whatever reason. The subdivision that my brother and I developed called Daytona Heights. We were allowed to put a street in here without a cul-de-sac. It was a relatively short street. I did check with the planning department, check on that. James here? Okay. And it is required in the subdivision code, so it is y'all's pleasure what happens here. But he mentioned to me that cul-de-sacs tend to be torn up by the big trucks turning around. In the summer, it rolls the asphalt. And I got to thinking about that. Subdivision my dad was the trustee was High Acres, and that's exactly what happened at the end of every one of those streets. It rolled it up to the point that all those streets became dead end and grass covered up the cul-de-sacs. You wouldn't even be able to tell there was a cul-de-sac there today. So,
okay.
I did find Ed Avery in Fernandina and asked him what happened, because the street ends before the end of the road does, the pavement does. And he said we didn't go any farther because of the wetlands, and that's why they didn't turn and go back to Lejeune Road, because it was just too expensive to try to deal with the Corps and develop the rest of that subdivision. So if you look at those initial plats, they left a lot of lots sitting on the drawing board they weren't able to develop.
I built a lot of subdivisions down in Kingsland, St. Mary's, and all down in there. We always had to put a cul-de-sac in.
Yeah, well, yeah, we in a perfect world, sure.
Definitely put one down there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Chip. Anything on that?
Mr. Chairman, I think last time when the gentlemen were here and matter of fact, with some people that was staying in that area, some, you know, agreeable to the county accepting the road, and the rest of them were opposed to it. And, I guess my only concern is this right here, and I'm all for progress and, you know, homes and all this kind of stuff. We're in that business also, but once we accept this road, then it's our baby, right? Is that right? Okay, and I know we say we did the core samples and all this, but now this issue about the cul-de-sac comes into place. So if we agree to accept this road, make it a county road, then are we gonna be on the hook to try to get this cul-de-sac put in?
That would be at the discretion of the commission, I would think.
I mean, if we didn't put it in, we would be violating our own policy with it.
What does our subdivision law say?
So we have to.
Rules, what do they tell us we supposed to do?
Well, we can get
Yeah.
Mr. Schubert up here to talk about it specifically, but it's my understanding that, if the county were to accept this road, there are roads in the county, I'm sure, that are grandfathered in, you know, that may not have a cul-de-sac, but normally, when a county is accepting roads, you know, you would require it be built to a certain standard that would include meeting our current codes. And so the point I think these gentlemen are making is that, you know, they're basically asking you all to accept the road and make an exception to what the code requires. And then to the commissioner's point, yes, I mean, once we accept the road, it is a county road, and then we're responsible for maintenance and, you know, any other issues that may come up the road.
And I think, Madam Attorney, you hit on a key point about the road being built to the county standards. In other words, if the road was being built and we knew it was gonna be built out there, then we would require a certain stance. And this is what facilitated the, having this company to come out, I guess, and do the core samples and all that. And, you know, it's good for what it's good for, I guess, you know, whatever that sample that they gave. So, again, sake of sign and repetitions, once we accept this road, then it's our baby, you know. And, also I have a problem with, if the code right now, our policy requires in subdivision that we have a cul-de-sac, and we don't, then are we opening up a Pandora's box for someone else to come along and say, well, hey, you know, you did this and you didn't put a cul-de-sac, so we wanna do this and we want the same treatment.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
One of the things the county does to encourage development is tell developers, if you build this subdivision, we'll accept it. And, you know, becomes public property. So we're out here, we're ready to build that thing full of houses, and residential real estate or residential construction is probably around 20–25% of economy. So it puts a lot of people to work and supplies a lot of jobs in any community. So the county's out there saying, developers, if you build these roads, we'll accept them if you meet our specs. So whether it's 1 day old or 16 years old, it's still the same principle. It's going to be promoted growth, which I think is good for the county. Perfect world, sure, cul-de-sac. This would be an exception. But it's one of about 20 others in that neighborhood.
Yeah. For instance, I was just looking at this tab M over here, he got a cul-de-sac on his now. If you go to that, and, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to be wrong, but if we do this, we accept it like this. Can we accept it like this? Okay. Any more discussion on it?
I believe the roads have been there for what, 16, 20 years?
But it's been a private road. It ain't belong to the county.
I know it.
Well, you referred to the tab M, there's another subdivision coming up. I have questions about that. The new subdivision, yes, should follow the subdivision requirements. The existing subdivision that's already been there, and the developer or whoever comes in and takes it over and just tries to do the best they can on particularly on a street that's been used for years. And I've got no problem in going along with it, but not a new subdivision.
And plus too, you got wetlands at the end of where the cul-de-sac would go.
And these, to me, these questions should have been asked by a previous county commission, and got straightened out, but it wasn't, so
Yeah.
here we are. But
So, let me ask this right here. So right now, if the county were not to accept this road, they could still build a home, they wouldn't be required to put a cul-de-sac in? If it stayed a private road?
If it stays a private road,
Stay
they won't
just
have
like
to.
it
road, yeah.
is. Stay just like it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, and they could still go on with the homes and everything, it just would be a private road. I'm just a statement, I mean,
Right, we're building, the houses out there, Timmy's got one. They're probably $250,000 average apiece. All those people are paying taxes. So if we don't make it a public street, then they'll eventually have to pay, repair them. But now this road is in probably better shape than 95% of the roads in Ware County right now. And I think the core samples will attest to that. So basically, if we don't take this public, we're telling these 25 homeowners that, I know they pay taxes, but, it's 100% theirs, and they're just, the county's not gonna do anything for them whatsoever. So that's basically what the question is. And, this is 16, 17 years old. We built some of the houses, or most of the houses, but, it's something that was there. And it was something that was, 16, 17 years old when Dixie actually did it. So that's what we run into. But, it's a great deal for the county because there's so much tax revenue coming from that location. There's so many people that are building beautiful homes, taking care of them and doing their part. But if the county says no, then they're basically saying that it's 100% yours and you gotta take care of your own streets. We're taking care of everybody else's, but not yours. It's because it's just 16 years old. It's not brand new. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Is there anybody against this thing being given to the county? Anybody? I know before we had some opposed. Is anybody here from the other side now?
Mr. Chairman, just a couple of things for clarity. Before, I think that you did have a number that spoke against it, and there was a vote taken, and so now we're just discussing that the 3 conditions that were required for the acceptance under that vote, one of those conditions they've told us is just an impossibility, or at least an impracticability to meet as far as putting in the cul-de-sac. And I did want to just note for our minutes and the record that Commissioner Lucas, and welcome to him. This is his first night. So before he was elected to this position, obviously, as they mentioned, he is, I think, a interested party in this issue, and so we would recommend that he do abstain from the vote, and also just from any consideration and discussion on that. So I did just want to address those 2 things real quick. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I think, and don't quote me on this, but if I remember correctly, we had, or in the wording in the subregs, there's somewhere in there that actually grants the commission authority to make variances to those regulations. I'm not sure the exact wording, it's been a long time, but I know we had a subdivision, I don't know, several years ago that the commission did grant a variance to, and I believe it was with piping, plastic pipe versus concrete pipe. So I'm not sure that Wakeholm Heights didn't have another variance at one time for that short street of Simba to not require a cul-de-sac there when it went through. But I believe and don't quote me on this, but I believe there is something in the subregs around the beginning that says the commission has authority to grant variances. In this case, if you look at the environmental factors, if it does have wetlands at the end and there's not any room to put it in, then that would be a reason to for an exception. Generally speaking, variances are not granted on something you've created. They're granted on something that's significant, such as wetlands, irregular lot shapes, and so forth. So,
Okay. Thank you, Jay.
Not to go on and on, we can talk all day. It's fair to the taxpayers there to know that the government will be there to help them one day with that street, because one day that street's gonna be remilled. And 30 years from now, is that neighborhood gonna have $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 to remill it? They paid all these years. I mean, how's that group? 'Cause we'll be sold out by then. And you know, who are they gonna look to? All themselves to put that kind of money together to fix it. So it's a return on their investment as taxpayers to put it in the county and get the roads fixed when they're needed.
Okay. Anybody else?
I say put it on the agenda.
All right, let's put it on the agenda. Okay. Okay, D, the train turnkey have a proposal back one, D. That must be a air conditioning unit.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a item for approval to replace one of the AC units in the courthouse. We have a total of 5 to replace. We've replaced one. This one is pretty much just like the one we did, I think, 2 years ago, I believe it was. And this is a co-op quote with state pricing from Train. And it is to replace the one that's being patched now. They did patch it, but it needs to be replaced as soon as possible. ARPA funds can be used to finance this project in the amount of $336,745.
Is that about the same quote as the previous unit?
It's a little higher. I think the other one was like 318, I believe, 318, 319, I believe, something like that. And that's been, I think, maybe 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. That's when they had to bring a crane in to put it up on top.
Seems logical.
And all these were put in about the same time. So.
Yes, sir. A little over 20 years ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They've been patching them for some time now, and the one over the courtroom that was first replaced, it just went out altogether. We had to rent a unit just to be able to supply it, and it was during the summer, so we had to put air conditioning in there. And then it was changed out, and then this is the second one. So we'll have, I think, 3 after this one we'll have to change out.
So you're recommending replacement at this cost?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Put it on the agenda.
Put it on the agenda, okay. Put it on the agenda. Okay, the Miracle League Organization Memorandum of the Understanding.
Mr. Chairman, this is an item that's coming back to the commission for consideration. The commission approved or awarded the bid for the Miracle League ball field construction, and at the same time, the motion was to award the bid contingent upon a memorandum of understanding being executed with the Miracle League organization. And as part of that memorandum of understanding, Mr. Tanner, Barry Tanner, that was in attendance at that meeting, asked for some things to be included. They're included in your agenda packet there, and I was just bringing that to you for consideration to see what the discretion is of the commission if you wanted to have that added to the MOU.
I have some questions about a couple of these points. They refer to, Ware County will charge premium rent for this field on any non-Ware County sponsored event. And the premium will be paid into a joint account owned by Ware County and the Miracle League for future turf replacement. I'm against having a joint account with a private organization. And they also refer to wanting Ware County to buy or purchase a tarp of some kind. I guess they make it a tarp cover for the field. And when we started this, it was understood that SPOS tax would pay for it. We would build the field. SPOS didn't pass. We don't have the money, but we're losing a field to make it into a Miracle League field. And the agreement is that only the little T-ball people will be able to play on it. So there will not be any other income generated by leasing the field to tournaments. So you will lose whatever income that brings about. But I am opposed to buying a very expensive tarp and the county employees, and there are not many of them, maintaining it, putting it on, taking it off, just like you see on the Braves game when it starts raining. That I personally would be opposed to that.
Anybody else?
What kind of prices them tarps cost?
I personally don't know. I imagine they're not cheap, and I know they're quite large and heavy. I do know that.
Yeah.
And I did also, excuse me, just want to make sure that the commission noted under number 12 that Miracle League had requested that that Ware County would pay for and replace the turf after its useful life, and that basically Miracle League would put in whatever percentage time that they use. So for example, if they use 20 days out of a 365-day year, they would propose to pay for that percentage of the cost. So that would be a expected cost. I just wanted to make sure that you all noted that. There's a lot of other provisions also, but these are ones we certainly wanted to bring to the commission's attention.
So,
Any more?
yes, Jennifer, would this memorandum of understanding, would it have to be included in the original bid thing, or could this be something that's separate?
This is something separate, and it's actually something our office recommended so that there was no confusion headed forward. The Miracle League is putting in a significant amount of money in order for this field to be built, and so we wanted to clarify that ownership would be with the county. We also wanted to clarify the usage as far as, understanding when and how it would be used, and then, these are essentially their request or demands as far as what what the Miracle League would like to see in the agreement.
Okay.
Well, there's a couple of things I had highlighted also was 12 and 13, about the, and also about Ware County 11 purchasing that tarp, and like I said, we don't even know what that tarp would cost. Like I said, someone gonna have to be there to take it and put it on, take it off, and so I think that's something that we need to make sure that we kind of understand and we're clear on before we proceed on that.
So, Madam Attorney, what will you do? Generate memorandum, a draft copy based on the comments here, and present it to the Miracle League people?
We can do that. Well, what I'd like to do
Whatever.
probably is work with Mr. Moy. We can put together a draft copy of the document, submit it to you all for your comment and approval to make sure that we have the terms in there that you all desire. And then, once we get that draft put together, we would share it with them and work out hopefully a solution that would be agreeable to all parties.
For my vote, I would want to be able to vote or approve the final
Yes,
understanding.
of course, absolutely.
Okay. Any more? Okay.
So what we need to do is take off what we don't want in this, ain't it? I mean, if we don't want 11, 12, and 13, I mean, that's what needs to come out.
Well, I won't say from my standpoint, not so much come out, but maybe a little bit more clarity about it, you know, and maybe have to amend it, you know, to where it would, like I say, it'd be a good fit for both, agencies, Miracle League and the county government.
Anybody else? This came about later, didn't it? Okay.
So how do we need to handle this?
Well, I think you've given the guidance that we need in order to put a draft together, so if it's agreeable to you all, we'll work on getting that draft together, get it submitted to you all for your approval and or, you know, any suggested revisions, and then once we have that, we'll submit it to the Miracle League and let them know, you know, what you are and are not agreeable to.
Thank you.
Once she gets it drafted, I'll send it out to the commission so you can start looking at it. That way it can be tweaked if it needs to.
Well, I just got one thing to add to it. Number 2 and 3, in my opinion, is a total contradiction. Because it's saying in number 2 that Ware County will continue to own the field and all assets currently owned. And then number 3 turns right back around and says the MLO and Ware County will jointly own the turf maintenance attached. So it's kind of a contradiction of what the Miracle League is saying there. I mean, they're saying in 2, we own it, and they're giving us the money up front, and they turn right back on number 3 and say, we're going to own it jointly. So that's kind of confusing to me, the way they're wording it there.
I think it's,
Agreed.
that number 3 is talking about the turf maintenance attachment. I mean, I guess the maintenance on the turf itself, or?
I think that's some sort of equipment that was included as part of the bid.
Just an item of information, Mr. Chairman, somebody watching, I guess from television, somebody sent me a text. They found a full infield cover, something like talking about around $75,000, $8,000. Probably the ballpark of what we're talking about. What do you think?
Brandon, y'all were told it has a warranty for 10 years, or it wouldn't have to be replaced for 10 years, the turf itself. Do you remember what that
I would have to look that up, Mr. Manager.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to say, Mr. Chairman, when this request was made about the tar, I emailed the company we got the quote from to find out the specs, as Commissioner just mentioned, what it would be required to purchase a tarp that they were requesting. And I was informed by the company that manufactures this that they do not recommend using a tarp. So sports turf people that are the ones that are going to be putting this in, the rep for the manufacturer of this AstroTurf material, they were against using a tarp and did not recommend using a tarp with this application that we got bid on for this. So as far as they're concerned, they were against using a tarp and didn't give me any kind of specs for purchasing a tarp or anything like that. So I think that needs to be communicated to the Miracle League. I don't know where they came up with that, but it was not recommended to them by the group that's going to be providing this the artificial turf. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay. Sound like we need a table or something and clear it all up. Would that be the best?
Yep.
There's a lot of questions here, a lot of things. Seem like they don't really know. River League don't know that the turf don't recommend them. Anyway. We just table it.
I think what we can do is just choose not to add it to the agenda tonight. If the
Tonight.
commissioners all in agreement, we won't add it to the agenda tonight. That'll give Mr. Moy and I some time to put together a draft, and then, as Commissioner Pope mentioned, we certainly will bring back any final, memorandum of understanding to you all for your approval before it, would be
Okay.
officially approved.
Just don't put it on the agenda for tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right, we can move on. F, the resolution of 2021-18 Ware County Board of Commissioners, district map.
Mr. Chairman, I contacted the reapportionment office, and they took our current district maps with the new 2020 census and made some adjustments to the voting districts, and I printed those off. They're in your packet there. And this resolution just basically approves those maps, those district maps, so we can start the public notice and get it advertised for the legislature to approve them.
Okay. Anybody got anything on that?
Were there any drastic changes in it, Scott, based on, and I'm trying to figure out this.
Not really. There was a little bit of modification or revision. I know in District 4 for Commissioner Barner, the area on the other side, on the north side of Waycross, the Jamestown community was left out of his, so that had to be tweaked, and she was able to shift that around, and it was adjusted out of District 3. So it's basically, it's a lot like they were before, but there's some small changes in the districts.
Okay.
And she also wanted me to point out that the population of the Ware State Prison is included in District 3, which is about 1,400 people. And they've always been included before, and the reapportionment office told me that it's probably best to leave them there so you stay consistent. They can't vote, but it keeps the populations pretty much close within 300 to 400 people. So, you know, it's up to you if you want to take them out. If you do, you have to readjust every district. But you're looking at roughly about 1,400 people.
How about the ones in the county jail?
That I don't know if those are included. I would think they would be, but I don't know that for a fact. But I know the ones at the state prison are included. And they are in other, communities. They do include those in unless they want to take them out, but typically they include them.
Okay. Any more on that? Carry it over. Okay. The bid award for Ware County Recreation Department beverage supplies.
Mr. Chairman, this item was bid out, or seek proposals from the two major producers, Pepsi and Coca-Cola. And after reviewing the proposals, like has been done before, the staff recommends accepting the proposal from Coca-Cola, primarily because Coca-Cola has a lower volume requirement, so we don't have a high volume that we have to sell to get certain promotions, and the commissions are higher with Coca-Cola too. So from that, I would just suggest that we continue. We have Coca-Cola now, and I would suggest we continue on with Coca-Cola.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Anybody on it? Got anything on it? Now let's get it, move it to agenda. Okay. E91 voice logger recorder system replacement purchase.
Yes, sir. This is a request for an approval to purchase, a sole source item. The current, recorder system that 911 uses is quite a few years old and somewhat antiquated. They've been having trouble with the recorder and the way it translates and creates the recordings that's being used for various things, law enforcement, open records requests, lawsuits, those kind of things. And those recordings are not coming out as good as they should, and that we've gotten some complaints. And this system is to replace the old system. So it's a sole source, and in that the vendor relationship, as it mentions there, the past experience plays a part of this. And ARPA funds can be used to purchase this, being as part of public safety.
Okay, where's the funds coming from now?
The ARPA funds, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, anybody?
Those recordings are used for a lot of different applications, from just open records requests to information for lawsuits and those sort of things.
Okay. Anybody got anything on that? No, we'll move it to the agenda. Okay. A bid award for the fire department self-contained breathing apparatus.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'd like for the chief, fire chief to speak to this item on what the need is for these replacements.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commission. We're coming to y'all requesting the purchase of 30 SCBAs. Now, when we say SCBA, that's self-contained breathing apparatus. And we're asking for 60 bottles and 45 masks, which goes with the harness. What we're having to do is phase out some of our older equipment that we currently have, because our bottles have a 15-year life on them. And some of our bottles right now are back to 2004. And once they go out of the 15-year cycle, the hydrostatic test, there's nothing else we can do with it. Drill a hole in it, we can't do anything else with them. So we're gonna have to add some. And also, one of our other biggest things is ISO requires us to have 4 packs per truck, first out engines, that's volunteer units and Station 1. The state this coming up year is going to require the same thing that ISO requires, which means we're going to have 4 SCBAs per piece of equipment that comes out. That's Station 1 and all the volunteer stations. And I brought Chief Grantham, Matthew Grantham, wherever he's at, he's with us. And we're requesting that he can help explain more about the numbers of where they broke out to into the trucks. But we're asking, we sent out a bid, we're asking for Scott air packs, because our current equipment that we have is Scott. If we were to go with another name brand, we're got 2 different brands that are being used and not going to be compatible with each other, and is just not necessarily a good fit, because we're going to have to keep one separated from the other. We're going to have to keep one that we're going to have to train completely different with compared to the other that we already have. And I think your book shows some pictures of a call that we went on this past week of where we had a fire that you can tell that we crawl into different places to different things just besides smoke and fire that we need these SCBAs for. This past week, I'll tell you, going on from last Sunday till this morning, we've already had 4 working structure fires in a week's time in Ware County. And so this equipment is needed and is used and will bring us up to more of an updated piece of equipment that we have. If y'all have any questions, me and Chief Grant can help answer the best that we can.
Okay, do y'all have anything on anybody?
Scott, where's the money gonna come from?
We'll use ARPA funds for these because it's still part of public safety.
How many packs do y'all usually have?
Right now, where Chief Grant, he can tell you exactly what we have on our trucks that we're gonna have to replace and add to. Chief Grant?
Hey, Commissioner, so we have 45 packs that's in service right now, which 15 or 13 of those are older packs. And the older they get, the NFPA regulation is packs have to be maintained at the level of what they was purchased. So the older they get, the more money it costs per year when the service comes around. So to be in compliance with the state, we would have to have just on our volunteer trucks and Station 3, we would have to have 40 packs just for those 10 stations, because we have to have 4 per first out engine. That's not including our 2 engines at Station 1, the tanker, ladder truck, and our rescue truck.
How many tanks you got?
We have, when you purchase a pack, it comes with 2 bottles. So you get a bottle and a spare bottle. We keep them on the truck. So we have roughly 90 bottles in service.
And how many of those you say are not certified?
I would probably
Certified now? They should be all certified now.
This coming up year, they're gonna start phasing out with the older number, cause our 15 years won't allow us to test them past this year. I would probably say 20 of those are gonna be scrapped.
So you can't test them for recertification?
Not after the 15-year hydrostatic test, we can't. And what he's talking about.
You can the pack itself, but not in the bottles.
And if we have a pack that was purchased in, let's just say 2004, we've got to maintain it to the 2004 standard. So for us, the older the pack is, the more it costs to maintain these packs. Just because it's harder to find parts, it's harder to do just work with that piece of equipment because it's getting more outdated.
So, or basically, are you talking about just doing away with all that you've got now and just starting all up?
No, sir. We would use what we had left. There's 13 packs that's gotta come out of service this coming year. With the new stuff that we have, we will continue to use our old packs as well. The new stuff will just blend in with the other. And you can, if you're using an old pack, we can still use a new SCBA bottle with it. And we maintain and help spread this stuff out across the other departments. We still will use some of our old stuff as well.
And then survey them out over time?
Yes, sir. As they come out, we will phase them out. We contract out for somebody to come in and test our equipment every year. And there's some each year that we just end up having to take out just because they can't either get a part, or they're just too outdated, or just recommend they won't pass a test. So yes, they will be faded out as time allows it to.
Those 13 packs, that's the oldest that we have in service now, they'll come off of the truck if we get these new ones. They still could be utilized for training and things like that around the station. And they're also what's called a 2216 bottle. It's a bigger bottle. All the new bottles are going to 4,500 pounds, which is just the air pressure that's inside the bottle. So it will kind of phase those older 2216s out. And some of them won't have a working pass device, some of them don't have a working heads-up display in the mask and all that, so be good to get them off to the side.
When the state does an audit, the fire department, do they check all the turnout gear? Or you just give them a list of what you got?
It's for turnout gear, but they do check the packs.
Okay.
And as of January the 1st, the state's adopting with ISO, and it will be required to have 4 per truck.
So currently it's not 4 per truck?
No, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request that if the board approves this, it's a bunch of money on, and there has to be some way to explain why you want to spend all this money. But I would request that any gear that they turn loose or don't use be transferred to the training center to be used by other departments when they're at the training center, if the board approves whatever the board does.
We can do that. We'll be more than glad to transfer them out.
Is that all right, Mr. Moore?
Yes, sir. Can they still be used in training? You just can't use them as being certified? Okay. That'd be great.
And that helps too, if we had those set to the side for training, we don't have to pull packs off of the in-service truck, you know, in case we catch a call or something like that, so it's good to have that extra sitting there.
We spent $250,000 now. How long will that last before we got to do it again?
The bottles last 15 years, but the packs, as long as you maintain them in the year that they was made, because every 3 years a new NFPA standard comes out. So every 3 years these manufacturers have to maintain that. So if we buy, just say we buy packs in 2021, it can be 2030, and we just have to maintain those packs at the 2021 standard. But the older the packs get, the more it starts costing. Like day was one of our packs, heads-up display went out, which is on our regulator. It allows the guys to see how much air they have left in their tank in the dark, basically. And it's like $1,500 to fix it on a 8-9-year-old pack. So
We haven't had any new ones recently. So this isn't a request that we've repeated year after year. This has been some years since we've actually got some new packs.
Yeah. That's what I want to know is how often now we gonna have to do this, you know?
Well, I mean,
You look at it.
I mean, right now, I couldn't tell you the exact time, but we'll bring whatever in 2030, we can still use these packs 10 years from now. We just got to do them just like we're doing, bring it to the 2021 standard.
So, Chief, whenever these new pipes are purchased, they come with any type of warranty as far, you know, you say somebody every year.
Yeah.
Is this something that?
The packs itself, the Scott packs, have a lifetime warranty for as long as we own the pack. But the annual service is, I think it's like $75 per pack per year. But we've been paying that, we've been doing that for a while. And what the annual service is they come in, they make sure nothing's leaking, they do the pressure check on it, and recertify the pack. And we have to get our, so it goes in conjunction with our air trailer. They have to do a air sample on our air trailer to make sure that it's not contaminated with any kind of oil or anything like that out of the compressor. So they come and do that annually.
But after 15 years, you can't even do all that. I mean,
Just the
Not
bottle.
on
Just on the
the
bottles.
bottles. The air pack itself, the harness, you just have to, you can use it right on until, as long as you maintain it to that standard in which it was purchased.
But
the air bottles,
15 years is it.
15 years if they don't.
because every 5 years they have to be what's called hydrostat tested, where we have to send them off to a company and they do a pressure check on it to make sure that the bottle's not expanding and contracting. And we have to do that every 5 years, but 15 years is the shelf life on the bottle itself.
Anything else?
Kind of like the chairman and Jerry said, both, you know, it's a lot of money we're gonna spend for these packs, these self-contained breathing apparatus, and the next bid was what, like maybe like $80,000 less. But you understand, you say that y'all are used to the Scott versus this other brand, right?
Well, what we've got now currently is Scott. And if we were to go with another name brand, we can't interchange the two name brands. I can't take a pack from Draeger and mix with a Scott pack because nothing works. And having two different packs inside of the department is going to be really confusing because there's going to be two sets of training that we have to do. And when we sent out our bid and our spec sheet, we sent it out specifically to what we had so we could integrate both systems. And there was only one that was able to do that, and that was a Scott pack. The other pack didn't meet what we had actually sent out.
I understand that.
And the city uses Scott too, is that right?
The city uses
straight?
MSA, they just
Okay.
changed and went to a whole nother
Oh,
thing.
Anybody else?
I don't,
Get over it, Jim. Reappointment to the Ware County Board of Health.
yes, sir. This is one of the members, county appointees to the Ware County Board of Health is asking to be reappointed, Mr. Rodney Music. His term ends at the end of this year.
Okay. Anybody got anything on that?
Put it on the agenda, if you wouldn't consider.
He's gonna still serve on the board, or he won't still serve on? the
Yes,
board? Okay.
It's kind of difficult to find folks that'll serve, you know, on a consistent basis.
Okay. Move it over to, put it on the agenda. Okay. Appointment of the Ware County Planning Commission.
Yes, sir. This is a request to appoint someone to the Ware County Planning Commission to replace Commissioner Timmy Lucas. And Commissioner Pope has recommended or would like to nominate Miss Angela Strickland to replace Timmy Lucas.
Okay.
Ms. Strickland served in another seat, and then her seat at the time reverted back to the city, so she came off and would like to serve again, so I recommend her highly.
Is she here? Not here, is she?
No.
I don't think so.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, put that on the agenda then, I reckon. Go on. Reappointments to the Ware County Board of Assessors.
Yep.
Nail.
On this item, Ms. Kathy Mixon and Nathaniel Housel has asked to be reappointed. I also have, and it gave, Ms. Lampkin gave me this letter right before our meeting and said that we'll actually need to find someone to replace Mr. Lee Robertson. He's coming, he's resigning from the Board of Assessors, so we'll need someone to replace him. Maybe not in this meeting, maybe the next meeting if that's possible. If you can think of somebody to replace Mr. Robertson.
So what district would he represent?
That I don't know. I don't know if Joyce is in here. Do you know? He was the chairman, right?
Are they all,
Okay. I'm sorry?
is them at large?
They are.
They are. Yes, sir.
Okay, so he can come anywhere in the county.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more on that? All right, put it on the agenda.
Okay.
Commissioners' items.
Well, we have one more, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
yeah.
That tab M,
Okay,
it was accidentally left off the agenda. I passed out the packet. This is for a road dedication, acceptance, Scarlet Drive. And, the information is on a little stapled packet there in front of you. And I don't know if Mr. Schubert or Mr. Minshew wants to speak to this, but just kind of give a background on what this is about, so forth. Yep.
Yes, sir, Commissioners. Appreciate your time. This is a road dedication for Scarlet Drive. It's part of a recently approved subdivision by the Planning Commission for Scarlet Estate subdivision. It's 6 lots. And the road has been built to DOT standards and county standards. Mr. Brandon, he can speak to any additional questions you have as far as the quality of the road itself, but what they're asking for is the county to consider the request to dedicate the road to the county, to the county.
Okay. I've included some pictures in there, of when they were paving the road, and also, email from our county engineer, Brandon Wallace, on the site inspection of the roadway. And as Mr. Minchie was saying, that, it's built to our specs and DOT specs, so, everything lines up, including the cul-de-sac at the end there.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Does the commission approve subdivision? Or does the planning commission, is that the final thing?
Planning Commission. And I believe that's what Mr. Schubert's told me.
When did that start?
Well, I was gonna say that, did that change? Because I know years ago, that's why I asked the question,
We
so.
include all subdivisions,
Yeah.
when did that change?
My understanding of the role of the county commission is to accept any roads in the subdivision. Planning commission approves the subdivisions, county commission just accepts the roads or does not accept the roads in those. There's been several subdivisions that's been approved over the past that were on, just say it was a, 6-7 lot subdivision on an existing county road that never come to the county commission. It just goes to the planning commission.
I'd be interested to know when that changed.
It's been there since I've been here, is the way we've handled it.
But I was there before you were.
Yeah. So, that's just the way I was taught, and I didn't see any wording in the subregs that says the county commission approves the subdivision. It says the county commission shall accept or not accept the roads and utilities or infrastructure. I will say that we're gonna approve this contingent, we ask that you approve it contingent upon road sign and stop sign. Mr. Scott hasn't purchased the road sign or the stop sign as of yet. He's waiting to see how the commission goes, because if the commission doesn't accept the road, then it gets a blue streak sign for private. If they do accept it, it gets a green streak sign. So that's all we're waiting on. We'll ask you to approve it contingent upon the street sign and stop sign being put up.
This subdivision is through the woods from my house, and I was by there today. Where's the drainage going to go?
The drainage
Where's
goes, it goes down Brandon can come down on this, but I believe it goes in the ditches. Some may go to Knight Avenue, and some goes, back to the end of the cul-de-sac, goes to a canal in the very rear of the property.
There's a drainage easement located at the back of it. It goes from the cul-de-sac, and then there's a canal or ditch, whatever you want to refer to it, at the very back end of the property on the north side.
But I'm not sure where the breaking point is.
The planning commission has accepted all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's up to the code.
Do they have to do a drainage study on your subdivision?
They did, a topo on it.
Okay.
So Brandon and Scott and I are not gonna get calls when it floods and won't drain, and they want to come out there and dig ditches.
I ain't gonna promise you that. As everybody else calls. But I think it has positive drainage.
I have not called it after a rain to verify that, so I'm sorry that that.
I know I went directly after rain, before, and there was very little water in the ditch. When I say very little, maybe inches in different spots, so.
Talking about a front ditch on Knight Avenue Extension?
In the cul-de-sac, and the ditches on Knight Avenue or Whitehall Church Road wasn't full as well, so.
I think about anywhere in Waycross, all you do is just roll your britches legs up when it rains and don't worry about it. Anything else on it? All right, let's move it on. You gonna put it on the agenda then? Scott?
Yes, sir.
You put it on, okay. Okay, any commissioner items? County manager items?
I don't have anything, Mr. Chairman.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, adjourn? Please say aye. Meeting adjourned.